Remember, I mean, there are patterns that go through the book of Acts that are astonishing, and they are given for a reason. Everything in there is to show us the movement of what God is doing in the church, from Peter to Paul, from Jerusalem to Rome, from the Jew to the Gentile, on and on and on. And then there are patterns within patterns in there. It's just the most astonishing book to read. But we want to understand that the gospel in the book of Acts, from Acts chapter 1, verse 1, all the way to 28, whatever the last verse is, all the way through, the gospel is the same gospel. Okay? The focus of the gospel is different. And as Jim and I were talking about before we got started today, the fundamental mistake of people, and I would venture to say that probably 50 to 80% of every error in our theology in the New Testament church comes from a misunderstanding or misapplication of the book of Acts. That's why we started Acts in this class years ago. It was the first thing I said. We have to get this right in this church, because if people don't get this right, they're not going to understand why this church is wrong and that church is wrong and why that teacher over there is wrong. Acts is prescriptive. It describes almost nothing after chapter 1, where Jesus tells them a couple things, okay? There's, what's that? Did I say pre? Yes, it's descriptive. If I said prescriptive, erase that from your memory and put a DE there instead of a PRE. It is descriptive. It describes what happened in the establishment of the church, and it does nothing more than that as far as our doctrine, okay? I'm talking about our application of our doctrine. Now, we learn doctrine from the book of Acts, but not in application of it. We learn the major tenets of the doctrine from that, but you do not take the book of Acts. In Acts 2:38, people are always citing that. If you be baptized, and then you will be saved. And Peter was speaking to the Jews. He was speaking to the people that had just crucified Jesus Christ, and it had nothing, this much, to do with the Gentiles. And yet churches say, see, you have to be baptized in order to be saved. That's because they have taken that verse out of its context, and they have made it prescriptive instead of descriptive. And that's the way the book of Acts is. If you get Acts right, your theology is going to be sound. If you get it wrong, your theology is going to be unsound. It's that simple. So